The phone hum, a familiar vibration against Jake's thigh. Another day, another leaky faucet, another damsel in distress. He grinned, already picturing it. The grateful eyes, the hesitant touch, the unspoken longing. It was a pattern, a dance he knew by heart, a dance that both thrilled and terrified him. "Jake Carter, at your service," he answered, his voice a low rumble that sent shivers down spines. Or so he'd been told. The voice on the other end was different this time. Older, more familiar. "Jake, it's Rachel." His breath hitched. Rachel, the one woman who saw past the charming facade, straight into the tangled mess of his heart. The one he pushed away, terrified of the power she held over him. "Rachel," he echoed, his voice a mere whisper. "What's wrong?" "Everything," she choked out, the sound of her tears a punch to his gut. "And I need you, Jake." Jake had always been good with his hands, fixing things, mending things, bringing order to chaos. It was his gift, his curse, his shield against the world. And women, well, they were drawn to it like moths to a flame. There was Mrs. Henderson, the lonely widow, with the perpetually jammed garbage disposal. He'd fixed it, of course, but he'd also lingered, sharing a pot of tea and stories of her late husband. He saw the flicker of gratitude in her eyes, the unspoken yearning for a touch, for connection. Then there was Sarah, the aspiring actress with a leaky shower head and dreams bigger than the city skyline. He'd watched her rehearse lines, her voice a raw, captivating melody, her touch electric, when she thanked him with a kiss on the cheek. Each encounter was a fleeting glimpse into a different life, a different kind of love. Each woman left an imprint on his soul, a bittersweet reminder of the intimacy he craved, yet couldn't seem to hold on to. But none of them were Rachel. Miss Davis, the retired ballerina with the grace of a swan and the heart of a lioness, taught him about letting go. Her apartment was filled with memories, each piece of furniture a testament to a life well lived, a love lost too soon. He'd come to fix a creaky floorboard, but ended up listening to her stories of dancing on moonlit stages, of a love so intense it burned bright and fast. When he finally replaced the warped wood, he saw a tear trace its way down her wrinkled cheek. "It's all right to let go, Jake," she whispered, her voice a mere tremor. "Sometimes holding on hurts more than letting the memories fade." He left her apartment that day with a lump in his throat, realizing that he too was clinging to ghosts, to the remnants of a love he'd let slip through his fingers. Amelia, the architect, was all sharp edges and guarded eyes. Her penthouse apartment, a masterpiece of glass and steel, reflected her own carefully constructed walls. She challenged him intellectually and emotionally, her wit as sharp as the lines she drew on blueprints. He'd come to fix a faulty thermostat, but found himself drawn to the vulnerability hidden beneath her icy exterior. He saw the way her eyes softened when she spoke of her work, the passion that ignited her soul. "Love is for fools, Jake," she'd said one night, her voice laced with a cynicism that mirrored his own. "It's messy, unpredictable, It destroys everything you've built. He knew she was speaking from experience, her words a reflection of her own shattered heart. And for a moment, he saw a kindred spirit, someone who understood the fear of letting someone in, of risking it all for a love that might not last. Mrs. Robinson, the elderly woman with the kind eyes and the mischievous smile, lived in a world of her own. Her apartment was a time capsule, filled with faded photographs and antique furniture that whispered stories of a bygone era. He'd come to fix a loose doorknob, but ended up sharing tea and biscuits while she regaled him with tales of her youth, of forbidden love and stolen kisses. And then, with a mischievous glint in her eye, she confessed that she'd once been a heartbreaker, a woman who'd loved freely and left a trail of broken hearts in her wake. "Life is too short to deny yourself love, Jake," she'd said, her voice surprisingly strong for her age. "Don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't let fear dictate your heart." Her words struck a chord deep within him. Was he denying himself love? Was he letting fear hold him back from experiencing the kind of all-consuming passion that Mrs. Robinson described? Each encounter, each story, each broken heart he mended added another layer to the weight he carried within him. He was a collector of secrets, a keeper of confidences, a silent witness to the complexities of love and loss. He saw the pain in their eyes, the longing, the regret. He heard the unspoken words, the whispered dreams, the shattered promises. And with each encounter, he felt his own defenses crumbling, his own heart aching for a connection that ran deeper than a shared glance or a fleeting touch. He was tired of fixing everyone else's problems while his own remained unresolved. He was tired of being the charming handyman, the confidant, the shoulder to cry on. He wanted more. He wanted to be seen, to be known, to be loved, flaws and all. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. He was living a lie, a carefully constructed facade of charm and wit, hiding the terrified boy within. He craved intimacy, craved a love that would anchor him, ground him, make him feel whole. But how could he offer that to someone when he hadn't even figured out how to give it to himself? He thought of Rachel, of the way she saw through his bullshit, of the way she challenged him, loved him despite his flaws. He pushed her away, terrified of the emotion she evoked, of the vulnerability she exposed. Now he realized he made the biggest mistake of his life. The moment he stepped into her apartment, the scent of vanilla and lavender washing over him, he knew he was home. Rachel. Her hair was a mess, her eyes red-rimmed, but she was even more beautiful than he remembered.
"You came. I wasn't sure."
He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. The feel of her against him, a balm to his soul.
"Of course I came. I'm always here for you, Rachel. Always."
As he held her, he realized that this was where he belonged, in her arms, in her life, in her heart. He just hoped it wasn't too late to fix the mess he'd made. He spent the next few hours listening, holding her hand, wiping away her tears as she poured out her heart. He didn't offer solutions, didn't try to fix her problems. He just listened, truly listened, for the first time in his life. When she was finally quiet, her head resting on his chest, he knew what he had to do.
I love you, Rachel. I always have. I was just scared.
She looked up at him then, her eyes wide with surprise.
Jake.
He cupped her face in his hands, his touch gentle yet firm.
I know I screwed up. I pushed you away, but I'm done running. I choose you, Rachel. I choose us.
And as their lips met, a slow burn that ignited into a raging inferno, he knew he wasn't just fixing a broken heart. He was repairing his own.